In this demonstration, I'll be showcasing the Hiperwall software and its key features. We'll go over how to get content onto the video wall, how to save and manage preset layouts, how to remove and manipulate content, and a few other helpful tools along the way. I'll be walking you through both the full administrator interface and the simplified HiperOperator interface, so you can see how each is used in different scenarios. Before we start, you'll notice a VLC window on the bottom right of the screen. VLC is just a media player, and in this case, it's displaying a live camera feed of the physical video wall. This gives you a real-time view of what's happening on the wall. Now, if I bring up the HiperOperator interface, you'll see it's a streamlined tool designed for operators to control the video walls from their workstations. I have HyperAccess enabled, so I'll need to log in with my user credentials to get started. Let me do that quickly. Now that we have the simplified interface open, it's easy to move things around. Just click and drag with your mouse, as you would expect. You might notice that some boxes are highlighted as I move content. These are snap points. By default in HiperOperator, when you move something, it will snap into place on a display. However, that might not always be what you want. If you look at the blue box near my mouse, I can hold down the Alt key to toggle what we call Smart Snap. When I do this, the highlighted box changes, allowing me to freely move the content without snapping. Once I release it, it stays where I place it. If I don't hold down Alt, the content will snap to the nearest display automatically. I can also use what we call Expand Snap. For example, if I resize this content slightly and drag it across multiple boxes while holding down Control and Shift, it will snap perfectly into that larger area when I release. This feature is great for aligning content and ensuring it fits within specific boundaries so you don't accidentally place content on an unintended display. To clear the wall, you can simply click the broom icon, which will remove all the content. You'll see the tooltip appear, indicating Clear Contents. Once I click it, the wall is cleared. Now, if I want to restore the previous layout, I can go to the Environments folder. Environments are what we call presets or saved layouts. I happen to know the environment I want is named 3x2 Startup. I can either drag and drop it onto the wall or just double-click it. I'll double-click and it will ask if I want to clear the wall. I'll confirm and all the content comes back. Now, let's say I want to make a small adjustment. Maybe move something without it snapping into place. Once I've positioned it where I want, I can save this as a new environment using the Save Environment button. It will ask me to name it, and it auto-populates with the name of the current environment. I'll just add _new to the name. If I go to the Environments folder, I'll see the new preset right there. I can easily switch back to the original environment, and it will return the content to its previous position. And if I open the new one, I can preview a small image of it to see what it looks like before loading. If I double-click the saved environment, confirm that I want to clear the wall, it loads the environment exactly where I saved it. That's how you load and save environments. Now, if I clear the wall again and want to add something like a camera or a TV feed, for example, a CNN feed, I can simply type CNN in the search bar. Once it appears, I can drag and drop it onto the video wall, and you'll see it launch right away. I can apply the same snapping features here. By holding Control and Shift, I can expand the feed across multiple displays. Additionally, if I want to add a logo, like the Hiperwall logo or any other logo we've used in the past, I can easily select one from the options and place it on the wall as well. Let's go ahead and load the Hulu logo. I'll drag it onto the wall and it loads right away. Now, resizing is pretty simple. Just hold down the right mouse button and drag up or down to make it smaller or larger. If I get it close to the size I want, I can double-click and it will snap into place. There's also a right-click context menu with several options. For example, if I want this logo to take up the entire video wall, I can right-click, uncheck, maintain aspect ratio, and resize it however I like. Once I've made it bigger, I can double-click, and it snaps to fit the space. Though this time, it's stretched out of its aspect ratio, which isn't what I intended. I wanted the feed to be full screen, so I adjusted it again. And now you'll see that we have layering as well. For example, the Hulu logo is on top. I can manage these layers using keyboard shortcuts or the right-click context menu. If I want to send the Hulu logo behind other content, I can right-click, go to Layers, and just like in PowerPoint, select Send to Back. Now, the logo is behind the other elements. I can do the same for the CNN feed if I want the Hulu logo to stay on top. I'll double-click the CNN feed to restore its original aspect ratio. To remove content, simply select it and press Delete. That is the basics for how you can add, remove, and manipulate content on the wall. There are a few other features I want to point out. Earlier, I showed you the Save Environment button, and next to it is the Clear Wall option. You can also mute all audio with this button. It will mute any audio playing on the wall. I won't be covering audio in detail today, but just know that option is available. There are some additional settings down here for configuring things like which wall you're attaching to, or whether content opens in tabs or new windows. You can also configure certain options for specific sources. For example, with the CNN feed, I can right-click and choose to control it in a tab or a new window. I have mine set to open in a tab, but that can be changed in the settings. From there, I can fully control that source. Just a note, this control feature can be disabled at the source level. So, if you have sensitive content or a PC that you don't want to be controllable from the HiperOperator interface, you can turn off this feature on a per-source basis. As you can see, when I double-click, I'm controlling a Windows computer from the interface, and it's running a live CNN video feed. That wraps up our look at the HiperOperator interface. Now, let's move on to the administrator interface. I'll just minimize the HiperOperator for a moment, and here it is. As you can see, it also provides a preview of the video wall, and I can move things around just like before. However, there are a few additional features available here that make certain tasks easier. For instance, I can rotate content, and you can see that effect happening on the video wall in the background with the VLC feed. I can also double-click to snap items into place and resize them by grabbing the corners. There are a few other functionalities I want to highlight. I won't go into too much detail, but you'll find the same mute button here, as well as the option to clear the wall. Additionally, there's a Status tab, where you can check which licenses are currently in use. We frequently use the Source tab, which allows access to different sources and various controls. For example, I can connect a new source directly from the Sources tab. If I have a new IP camera, I don't need to access the IP Streams application. I can connect it straight from the controller. In addition, HyperAccess manages authentication and permissions, allowing you to restrict user actions such as launching content or shutting down the system. I can also log out of my user account. You can easily switch between users in this interface. This is the admin console, which features many of the same tools as the HiperOperator, just arranged differently. You still have options for smart snapping, maintaining aspect ratios, and so on. I can also view detailed information about the content. For instance, when I select an item indicated by the red border, you'll see details like the streaming resolution, which is 1920 by 1080, and the actual resolution displayed on the wall, which is 3820 by 2149. I can also right-click on an object to use the Smart Snap feature, which will snap it into place. For example, if I move an item down here and choose Smart Snap, it aligns perfectly. Just like in the HiperOperator, I can manage layering for different objects. There's also a feature called Anchor Object. When I select this option, the outline changes to a yellow and black dashed border, indicating that the object is anchored in place. Once anchored, I can no longer move it, preventing any accidental adjustments. To enable movement again, I simply uncheck the anchor option. And that's really the essence of using Hiperwall. You have all the basics you need to get content on and off the wall, manipulate it, delete items, save environments, and recall them as needed. Thank you for joining me today for this demonstration. If you have any questions or need further information, please feel free to reach out. You can contact us at the email address shown here, and we'll be happy to assist you.